Guys, do not sleep on vintage Celine. Everyone talks about the old Celine and how good it was and how it was such an iconic era for the bag. And usually when they say old Celine, they're referring to Phoebe Philo's tenure at Celine and all the iconic it bags she created or that went viral during her time there. Bags like the Celine Trapeze, Celine Trio, Celine Belt Bag, Celine Phantom, Celine luggage bags. The box bags during her time were so popular. That was the bag of the year. But today, I'm going to take you back further, all the way vintage to the old Celine. With vintage Celine bags, you can find so many classic shapes and styles, even ones that can rival that of Hermes. So today, I'm going to show you my top picks for vintage Celine bags that are alternatives for Hermes' hottest styles, like the Hermes Kelly, the Hermes Birkin, the Hermes HAC, which was actually the original Birkin or the Birkin's older sister, and an alternative to the Bolide bag. So let's get started. Okay, so starting off with vintage Celine alternatives to the Hermes Kelly. And also bear in mind, lots of these vintage bags don't have names as well. So this bag is called the Vintage Celine Macadam Canvas Kelly, and it has a leather trim. So this bag is approximately from the 1980s, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. And you can generally find these priced under $1,000 on the pre-love market. So the length of the bag along the bottom is about 30 centimeters. So this would be comparable to a Kelly 28 or a Kelly 32, since there is no Kelly 30. But let's look at them from the front. So you can see here, both of the bags have pretty much the same shape from the front, except the Celine one is made out of canvas and the Hermes one is made out of leather. You can see the Celine also has a slightly longer top handle. From the side profile looks pretty much the same. You can see a slight difference in the shape of the hardware that connects to the top handle. For example, the Celine appears to have square rings, whereas the Hermes has a D-shaped ring. From the back, they basically look the same. No back pockets on either of them. On the bottom, they both have 4 feet. The feet are slightly different shaped, more rounder on the Celine and sharper edges on the Hermes bag. The interior, the configuration looks pretty much the same, and they both seem to have a leather lined interior. The provided accessories with the bag, we know Hermes does come with a key, clochette and padlock, but I don't know if the vintage Celine actually came with anything originally. On the pre-love market, I don't really see it come with any accessories usually. If we look closely at the clasp, so the hardware stamping, they both have their respective brands stamped into the hardware on the front. So let's compare the mod shot. So this is what they both look like handheld, and this is what they both look like worn on the shoulder with the shoulder strap. You can see they're very comparable. You can also get this bag in a different color canvas print. Now, I actually just unboxed my Hermes Kelly dupe as my luxury birthday bag number 2, and this one is from the brand Bali or Bali, however you want to pronounce it. And this is my dupe for the vintage mini Kelly, the one with the old school top handle. My one is a little bit bigger than the Hermes because the Hermes mini Kelly is 20 centimeters along the bottom and mine's 22.5. Now you can also get a smaller size vintage Celine that just has the turn lock with no sangles. This one does come with a strap as well. Now this one's only 24 centimeters along the bottom, so this is more comparable to a Kelly 25. Now they also have many other iterations. This one looks like it has a Ferragamo Gancini style clasp, and that's also on the smaller side, about 23 centimeters along the bottom. So again, more comparable to a Kelly 25. This you can get either in full leather or you can get it in the canvas with the leather trim. And then there's this other version which has that Ferragamo Gancini style clasp, but also this extra T-bar chain. Now this one's a little bit bigger. And so this one's about 28 centimeters along the bottom. So this one would be more comparable to the Kelly 28. And again, you can get this either in full leather or in the canvas with the leather trim. And all of these Celine Kellys you can find on the pre-love market for about under $1,000. So these prices are definitely much more realistic and much more reasonable compared to pre-love Hermes prices, particularly if you're shopping luxury on a budget. Now this is another very interesting Celine vintage Kelly. So take a look at this one here. This one has a long shoulder strap attached rather than a top handle. So this one is comparable to the Hermes Mini Kelly, that rare one that has the shoulder strap as well. Now this one is a bit more rare for both brands. So both brands are going to have more corresponding higher prices. And both of these for both brands can only be found in the pre-loved market. So for the Celine, this one's about roughly $1,500 US, whereas the Hermes counterpart, you're looking at like upwards of $20,000 US. So you can see here, these are both very comparable in their shape and size. Not only that, Celine and Hermes are not the only brands that did that style as well. Look, I've got one here that I actually just unboxed as my luxury birthday bag #1. And again, this is from the brand Bali or Bali, however you want to pronounce it. So remember, lots of brands did use these same design elements and the designs existed at the same time. It wasn't you copied me or me copied you. They were just the trend at the time. Okay guys, so tell me, what do you think so far of my vintage Celine alternatives to the Hermes Kelly? I know this is not a Kelly, but this is going to represent a Kelly for the meantime. And what do you think of my special alternative for that rare Hermes mini Kelly with the shoulder strap from Celine? I think the alternative for the mini Kelly with the shoulder strap is a very special design, one that I'd be very happy to have in my collection. And I think just the regular Kellys from vintage Celine are very classic. Whether it's the ones with the Sangle and the Tourette or the ones with those Gancini style clasps, they're all very beautiful. I'd be happy to have either the leather or those canvas ones in my collection too. Tell me what you think and whether or not you'd ever add any of those to your collection. And tell me if you just think, nah, these bags you are not into at all and you think they're horrible comparisons. Let me know. So next up is my Celine alternative to the Hermes Birkin. So this bag you can also find on the pre-loved market for under $1,000 US, but there's not that many of these around, so I'd be very hard pressed to find more of these. So check out this beautiful leather tote bag. Like, it's not exactly the same shape as a Birkin, but it has that same vibe. It's got a very boss babe vibe. It's not trying to be the Birkin. It is its own design. It has its own aura, but it has a very similar vibe. And I think that's very well priced for under $1,000 US as compared to a Birkin. So this one is 25 centimeters along the bottom. So that would be comparable to a Birkin 25. So here they are from the front. So you can see, as I said, they're not exactly the same design. And a couple of obvious differences is that the Celine has longer straps and a different clasp. Here they are on the side profile. The Celine one is definitely thinner. Here they are from the bottom profile. So again, the Celine one has a thinner base. It also does not have feet. This is the interior view. The Celine bag is more compartmentalized, whereas the Birkin is just one big main compartment. So if we look at the hardware of the clasp, so they both do have their own respective brand or logos on the hardware, but the Celine clasp to me looks a bit more practical and easier to use. So here is mod shots we can compare. So one big thing to note is that the Celine can be worn on the shoulder, whereas the Birkin, you can't really do that. Unless we're talking about the shoulder Birkin, of course. So maybe it's a more appropriate alternative for that. I don't know, you tell me what you think. Do you agree that this is comparable, or do you think I'm way off and you think this is a horrible comparison? Let me know. Now this is my vintage Celine alternative to the Hermes HAC. Now the HAC is actually an acronym and I find this very hard to pronounce. I'm going to use Google Translate. Did you guys hear that? That is just outside of my mouse ability to make those sounds. And Google Translate says, high with straps. So for anyone who understands French, is it high with straps? Let me know. So the Hermes HAC is actually older than the Birkin design, and its nickname is the original Birkin, or you can also call it the Birkin's older sister. So this is a slightly different proportion to the Birkin. You can see the straps are more narrow in width and shorter as well. And the body of the bag is also just a bit bigger and a bit longer too. So this is often used as like a menswear bag. Of course it's unisex, but it is more popular with the men's and also as a travel size bag as well, because the Birkins don't get as big as the HAC bags. So if you're looking for that sort of giant oversized Birkin look, like imagine the Olsen twins and their slouchy, huge, gigantic Birkins, then this is the type of bag for you. So this is a vintage Celine travel bag and it's 45 centimeters along the bottom, so comparable to the HAC 45. And its slouchy look is going to give you a very chic, relaxed, oversized feel. So here they are from the front. So clearly the Celine does have a longer strap and a different clasp, but if you look at that vibe, it's very similar. On the side profile is very similar as well. On the bottom, they both do have feet. However, the number of feet and placement of the feet differs. The Celine has 5, 1 in each corner and 1 in the middle, whereas the Hermes has 6 and it's got 2 rows of 3. Here's the interior. Now they both appear to be leather lined. The Celine does come with a zippered pocket, which I love. Otherwise, both of them are like just these big giant black holes of a compartment. For the mod shots, I couldn't find a mod shot of this Celine bag. However, if you look at this Celine bag next to the mod shot of the HAC, I can definitely imagine this to be very comparable. Now, even though bags like the Birkin, the Kelly, the Constance, etc. are the creme de la creme of the Hermes brands, I want to remind everyone there are lots of underrated and unknown vintage Hermes styles out on the pre-love market that you can get for much more reasonable prices, such as this vintage Hermes HAC Sandrine that I got for under $1,500 US or 2,000 Australian dollars, and it is gorgeous leather. So don't forget, there are many more styles aside from the ones I'm talking about today to explore if you love vintage Hermes. And also with vintage Celine, outside of the ones I'm talking about today, there are so many, dozens and dozens and dozens of styles that are very well priced on the pre-love market. So always check out for those underrated, unknown, untalked about styles. So if you are interested in seeing a few more styles that are not talked about at all with vintage Hermes, I do have a video showing you some here. Now this is a bag that is a vintage Celine alternative to the Hermes Bolide. Now this one is 22 centimeters along the bottom for the Celine, and when I looked up the sizes of the Bolide, I did find 1 or 2 here that said 22 centimeter Bolide in the title, but when I looked at the dimensions, it said 20 centimeters. So for you Hermes buffs out there, can you please let me know, is there a 22 centimeter size Bolide? Because this ad called it 22, but then it just said it was 20 in the dimension, so I'm confused. Again, you can get these vintage Celine bags for under $1,000 US on the pre-love market. So here they are from the front. You can see that the Celine bag has a slightly different dome shape compared to the Hermes bag, slightly different proportions. And here's the side profile. They do look very similar, but I did notice the Hermes zippers do go further down the sides, so I have to give that one to Hermes. And if you look at the mod shots, they're very comparable. Okay guys, so let me know what you think about all the vintage Celine designs I've shown you today and how they compare to their Hermes counterparts. Let me know if you think it was a good comparison or bad comparison. And I want to remind everyone that a lot of these similar styles did exist for various different brands in that era. It wasn't this brand copied that brand copied this one. Those designs simultaneously existed because that was the trend at that time. Now, if you haven't already seen, I show you all the cheapest bags currently at Celine for 2024 here. And I have a review video on this Hermes HAC Sandrine bag, which I'll leave here for you.